William, are you ready?
For what? Snowmageddon?
No, a new season of Garden Time.
Oh. Welcome to Garden Time and the first episode of our 14th season.
We're at Little Prince of Oregon in Wilsonville, and later in the show we'll be talking about indoor succulents.
We're also going to show you how to properly prune fruit trees.
But first, pruning roses.
So on this chilly morning, I am up at the Washington Park Rose Garden. I'm here with Rachel, the curator. And Rachel, you know, a lot of us get scared about roses. I don't know why, because they're really not terrifying plants, but we really are concerned, and we think, well, I didn't prune back on, in February when I was supposed to, and now that we're leaning into March, what can I do? And you're here to tell us that that's okay.
Yeah, rest assured, nothing will happen to them, and it does look scary. You have blooms, it looks like it's going to, flush some growth and you're just going to ruin that. But actually, it's better that you prune them than not.
And so this is the example. These are the ones that you cut last fall, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that and, again, why you did it.
We did some wind pruning to our waste in November, and that's to keep with all the winds,
right.
To kind of minimize the breakage. But now that we're here in spring, we're actually going to prune to a different body part, which is our knees.
And so just let me say again, because this is a 2 to 3 inches of growth already, but that's okay.
That's okay,
You're still going to cut them down to where they need to be now.
Absolutely, but otherwise they're just going to get really tall and gangly, and they're going to break.
Right.
So it might delay it by a little bit, like the blooms, but they'll still bloom and actually do better when they're blooming.
So when you look at this now, this is something that is happening currently. How do you test and see which stuff you want to take out? What's your process?
So the first thing I would do is I would get rid of anything that's smaller than a pencil.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm doing that is these look nice and new. You think, oh, I should keep them, but really they're going to shoot up really tall and they're really not going to produce much of a bloom. So you want to focus all your energy into kind of more the stronger canes.
Okay.
So you see that I just cut them down.
Right.
And see, look, we have one here. I'm just going to cut that just to make a point there. And the next thing is you got to have your, you're going to put out your dead or diseased wood. So you can kind of see that this one here just has like some brown in it. You have some breakage.
Right.
So I'm just actually going to go ahead and cut that down. And a trick I like is I kind of remove the cane with my loppers when I cut it.
It's much easier than grabbing it, isn't it?
Exactly. And so another thing is, while I'm doing that, I'm opening up the middle.
Right.
So by taking out my dead, diseased ones, I'm actually going to open it up. And so when I make my more detailed cuts, it's a little bit easier to manage. So,
and then when you say dead and diseased, can I just show you right here?
Absolutely.
Are you talking about like this stuff here even? There's scarring there.
Absolutely.
So that is enough that you'll go down, take that completely out then.
Absolutely, because that will be a vector for disease. You're going to have all the spores coming for disease.
Right.
An opening is going to create more problems than it's worth. So
then if you'll just look over here, is this the one then? This one you've done, right?
Absolutely.
And you really narrowed it down. I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 main stems. Is that the process you're shooting for then?
That's exactly what I'm shooting for. Everyone, worries about being aggressive, but, I definitely encourage, be aggressive. That chant we have in high school.
I do indeed.
Applies to horticulture, so.
And then let me ask another question. I see these a lot at home. This is clearly a fresher one versus
absolutely.
This. Are you going to leave that, since that's not a pencil one, do you cut that out or leave the older one?
So I'm actually going to, and this one does have a little bit of disease.
It does,
probably what I'm going to do is, it's still a nice healthy cane. I mean, this one's a really good one, so I'm going to cut this down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Every cane's going to get a cut because any cut initiates growth. It's just not going to go down as far. And this actually is a pretty good cane, so I'm just going to take it down a little bit lower.
So really, it's nothing has to be set in stone, does it? So you can really, and if you mess up, that's okay too.
Absolutely, because they're going to come back no matter what.
Right.
And then you can always reprune next year. The important thing is to get the older dead wood, to get the pencil thin ones. And another example, look at this little, he's kind of deformed a little bit. So what are we going to do in that situation? But I see you're going to prune right above a bud.
Right.
You're going to cut that. And so that it will be a nice, healthy cane.
And then just for my own edification, I have one more question that I always think about when I prune. You cut above the bud that is clearly going to come out this way. Do you try to do that so they don't grow internally?
In a perfect world, you can do that. I know here at the Rose Test Garden, we don't pay as much attention to that just because we have so many, so we're trying to be quick. But basically, if you really have the time, I would recommend...
Just pay attention to that.
Pay attention to that, because any bud, when you see a bud, it's going to go out that direction.
Right.
So
right.
if you have the time and you want to spend some time shaping, you absolutely can do that. So.
Well, there you go. It is not too late to prune your roses. And, even though there's not a lot of flowers out here right now, there is always beauty out here at the Rose Garden. So come on out and spend some time here. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Absolutely.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Portland Nursery, where spring is our favorite time of year. It's the time to prepare your garden for planting. We invite you to get a jump on spring with our huge selection. Let Portland Nursery's staff of professionals help with groceries you can grow. We've got the seeds, veggie starts, and expertise to ensure your success. Visit portlandnursery.com for a list of classes and special events. Portland Nursery, helping make your backyard your favorite destination at 50th and Stark and 90th and Division.
Since 1982, the Wall has been making local gardens beautiful, naturally. Whether you need a new wall, concrete patio, fire pit, or driveway, the Wall's expert craftsmen can build it. We back up our work with a 5-year warranty, so you'll know it'll last. We use the highest quality materials, including stamped colored concrete, natural stone, and we're the leader in using recycled concrete. Create an outdoor environment you'll enjoy for years, with the help of your friends at The Wall.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
Well, it is early March, and if you didn't prune your fruit trees, it's not too late. And I'm with John from Bartlett Tree Experts. And John, really, this time of year isn't too late to be pruning?
No, it's actually a really good time to prune, just because it's just about to have bud break right now. And if you do it close to bud break, you're cutting the tree, and the tree is able to not heal over itself, but grow over the wounds a lot faster at this time of year, which is better to reduce the incidence of disease getting into the cuts.
So that's a great tip for people. Mm-hmm. And so what else do we want to look for when we're trimming trees, especially fruit trees? What do we want to do when we come out and look at these?
Ideally, you want to make sure to think about the overall height. How tall do you want your tree to be? Ideally, it's nice to have a tree that you can pick the fruit close to the ground, not have to climb a ladder while you're working on it. Some people get freaked out by, oh my goodness, I'm making this big cut because you're trying to keep it small. But as you can see on this tree, I've made some very large cuts up here.
Right.
Because this tree is extremely vigorous and it has put out 6-foot shoots of growth. If you let those go up and only cut them at halfway, that's 3 feet. Next year it does the same thing, and it gets way out of reach at that point. So ideally, keep it small. Keep things cut back like I've done here. Those will sprout out. Eventually you'll get fruit spurs going on there. This tree is very young and in training, so I'm leaving a few of these here to push out growth. And then we have a branch here from another tree that was developed last year. Pardon me, I don't want to poke you in the eye.
No, that's okay.
That's what the
safety glasses.
are for.
That's another great tip, is don't forget your safety glasses.
Yeah. But this was 1 year sprout from here to here last year. Then the last year's growth came on, put out there, but it put on all of these here, which is all fruit buds, which this season will flower and produce fruit. These ones here will then do the same thing and end up with fruit buds in here the following season, which eventually we could cut back to here. I'll just do that.
Sure.
To make the tree smaller and keep it small, which you want to do. Keep it tight, and that way if you have a really long branch with fruit way out here, eventually you end up with branch breakage, so you want to keep them in to where it's nice and tight and can hold its fruit.
And that's really another great tip, because you always want to be thinking in the future. So you want to kind of look at that and then make those cuts a little bit more judiciously like that.
Exactly, exactly.
But you have another tree that we want to look at and talk about some more tips for our homeowners.
Yes.
So let's go over there.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
Well, we're seeing a little bit of snow flurries here, which is kind of, it's March.
It's that
and
time
so
of year.
it is that time of year. And so it's still pruning you could do this time of year. And so we're at a different tree. What would you think to do here?
The best thing to do is, it gets a little too thick, so you want to do some cuts to open up it to get better light penetration, keep better air circulation for reduced disease. In the springtime when it's raining all the time,
Sure.
the faster the tree can dry out, the better it is to reduce the disease. Plus, cutting back the ends to reduce the amount of end weight when you put on fruit. Big long tree like this weight's down, it can break. So you go along and cut it back a little bit. And that way your fruit stays back in here, and then it can hold itself a lot better.
Right. And then what about some of the bigger limbs inside? Would you do something there?
Oh yes, there's a couple of big cuts I see up in there to reduce it and take back the weight and get good light penetration for the tree.
And really you're shaping the tree too, because we want them to look beautiful in our gardens too.
Exactly.
and produce fruit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, these are the tree experts, Bartlett tree experts. And so if you're just looking at your trees and you think, whoa, I've let them go too many years and you need some help, please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click over their website and you can get some help from Bartlett tree expert. Thanks so much for all your tips.
You're welcome.
This week's plant pick is brought to you by Little Prince. Our plants won't croak.
Your garden is only as good as the ingredients you use. That's where Black Gold can help. Black Gold Seedling Mix is formulated for successful seed germination and strong seedling growth. Black Gold Seedling Mix is organic and OMRI listed, so you can start this year's organic garden outright. Look for Black Gold at your local garden center or go online to blackgold.bz. Black Gold, all the riches of the earth.
Why do the finest builders shop at Standard TV and Appliance?
For us, customer service is very important, I think especially with custom homes. One of the reasons why I continue working with Standard now for over 12 years is for that reason. There's a trust there and a relationship that I believe adds a lot of value.
Standard can make your dream kitchen a reality, setting the standard since 1947. Standard TV and Appliance.
Do you have a leaning or broken fence? Fix a broken fence with ease. Made in Oregon, the sturdy fence post bracket can mend your drooping fence. Strong winds, falling debris, dry rot, and wayward drivers can all cause havoc on your once sturdy fence. Our sturdy bracket attaches to your existing fence and is easily installed in 30 minutes. Limit waste, materials, and save money by fixing your existing fence. Purchase online at sturdfence.com or visit participating Par Lumber and Pro Build stores.
So, it is that time of year when we should be really thinking about spraying horticulture oil on all of our fruit-bearing trees. So this can only happen for a couple more times, maybe this weekend or next weekend. And the reason we do it is because we want to make sure that there are no eggs or larvae or hidden things in all these ridiculous cracks and crevices of fruit trees. Now, I'm using the All Seasons horticulture spray oil of Bonide, and you can always tell they're natural products because of this brown part of the label. So you just cover them up real good, and you want to make sure that you get them right about the time these things are budding out. This is the new fruit that's going to come out, and the blossom will be there, but you don't want to get it before that opens up, so cover it real well early.
Now there's another product from Bonide, it's called Bon Neem, and it's neem oil, which is a natural product. And again, we know it's natural because of the brown on the Bonide label. And so this is a great product because you can use it longer than a dormant plant. You could use it up to the day of harvest. So make sure that you do read all the packages when you are using any kind of a spray. And remember, you never want to spray any product when the flowers are open. We want to protect our pollinators.
So if you just take a few minutes of your time, you can ensure a really bountiful and beautiful harvest this year. Well, I'm standing here at Little Prince of Oregon. I'm with Mike. And Mike, you know, I have to say that we have heard so many people all over the Northwest who absolutely love y'all's plants. They brag about them, they keep buying them. And so we wanted to look, how does this all happen? How do you get those great plants? So tell me where we're standing right now.
Well, thanks for that great compliment to start with. And we're in our brand new propagation facility. This is our 4th one, the newest one we've added. This is where all of our cuttings start. We're still trying to get used to it. Like I said, this is the first crop that we've actually had in here.
Because every great plant starts somewhere, and this is where you guys start them out at. And so how long does it take to actually get these things to get roots and be planted up generally?
Well, kind of varies. It varies on depending on the time of the year. But right now with this new facility, it's going really quick.
Wow.
We're getting roots in 3 to 5 weeks.
And I have to say that, I mean, I love the lights in here, but it seems an odd color. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, these are LED lights, and they're pink because they are heavy in the blue and the red spectrum.
Which does what?
That promotes rooting and it promotes branching.
Really?
So you'll have a quick, we're having at least 2 weeks quicker rooting time on our cuttings, and the branching is increasing as well. So you'll have a much hardier, fuller root system.
And you guys, I mean, you can prove that. Have you seen this happening as you've switched over these lights?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we did trials. We put some of our cuttings in houses that don't have the lights, and we were able to kind of look at the difference.
Compare and contrast.
The two. Yeah. And we were at least 2 weeks faster. And
wow.
So in a production nursery, if you can turn your product 2 weeks faster, it really pays for itself really quick.
Well, and you know, now we're going to go over and I'm going to chat with Joan, because we're going to show you some of the wonderful plants that come from this amazing growing facility. Well, now it is my delight to be here with Joan, and you know, Joan, this is just a brief example of how many wonderful plants you all grow. So tell me about these first of all, and which ones these are.
Yes, we have a large selection of tender succulents, and we call these planter poppers because you can just pop them right into your pot.
That's so clever. And we're going to be doing that in a minute, but you know, I see that these are how they often go to retail stores too, in these trays.
Yes, they go in, we call them mixed flat, so there's several different varieties right here, and they're also sold individually already potted if you'd like.
Yeah, right, and they come in all different sizes to a lot of garden centers, so it's a great selection that you guys offer, and so many places carry them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you go to planting these, though, you know, it is this time of year when we're not quite in spring yet, but
we're ready for it.
We're all itching to get out there. So this is a great thing to do. You're going to plant this up for us. Tell me about these plants and the soil and how to take care of them. Just jump right in there.
Sure. Well, I chose string of pearls, also called Senecio.
Nice.
Everyone loves this plant. I'll just start to plant. I love this one because it kind of hangs over the side, shows some interest.
And is there a special soil you have in the pot there that you're putting them into, or is it just a good,
no, it's just
good draining soil?
Great, good draining soil.
Lovely, lovely.
Mix up the roots a little bit.
Sure. And do you have like this degree in what plants to put together? I mean, how do you, are you just choosing them?
There's so many different textures and colors. It's like, become an artist.
Right, right.
Whatever you like.
And since you're putting it in your home, put what you like together.
Right.
That's up to
I
you.
really like this one. This reminds me of frosting. I just always think of a cake when I see this plant. This is topsy-turvy.
It is, and I'm not going to judge you about what you think it looks like because it sounds delicious. And so you just are liking these plants to put together, which begs the question then, can I make an assumption that they're all sedums and therefore they don't need to be soaking wet all the time?
We do not want to overwater these. This is one of the main issues people have with these plants is they overwater them. They actually don't want a lot of water. So for people that forget to water.
Well, and that would almost be better for them if you do forget, that's almost more merciful than if you overwater.
If you are in doubt, wait a few days before watering.
Right. And then what about putting them outside? Because it's still going to get down to freezing. You don't want to do that just yet, do you?
Sure. This will be a house plant until we get into the low to mid 40s consistently, and then you can start to move it outside and acclimate it. It can just be right up against your house at first, and then slowly you can move it out into more sun.
And just so you don't get it all burned just from being
right.
Okay, that
it's kind of like our skin. We don't want to expose it to too much sun right away.
Right. So Joan, how can people find these plants?
You can go to our website at littleprinceoforegon.com, and we have a Find Your Local Garden Center. So you just pop in your zip code and boom.
Wow.
Your local garden centers pop up.
But then you also have a great Facebook page as well.
We do. Please follow us on Facebook. We're always posting about behind the scenes, the coolest new plants we got in, and we're growing. It's really cool.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Be sure that you run out to your favorite garden center and pick up some Little Prince plants.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
They had to take the car, they had to get it open with the jaws of life, take me out on a backboard, took me to a Trauma One center. I absolutely feel like the Subaru saved my life.
Well, we trust Capital. We trust our salesperson here, Jackie.
Jackie's great. I believe that she really cares about us.
She teaches me about the Subaru.
Our way on the Parkway.
Over the 30 years that our family has been in the nursery industry, we've learned that anyone can supply a customer with plants and garden supplies. But it's supplying those plants and supplies backed by a knowledgeable staff that can transform a garden and take it from ordinary to extraordinary. That's what we do at Sagawa Nursery. Why be ordinary when you can be extraordinary? Sagawa Nursery, growing beyond the ordinary.
Next September, join Garden Time as we tour gardens in Italy, the French Riviera, and Provence. We'll see the stunning villas and gardens of Raina and Lake Como, including Isola Bella on Lake Maggiore. Then we travel to the French Riviera to see the Hanbury Botanic Gardens and the amazing Rothschild Villa and Garden. Our next stop in Provence will include visits and tours of private and public gardens in the French countryside. You'll also enjoy colorful Provençal markets, wine tasting, and Roman ruins. We end our tour back in Nice with its incredible old city and flower market. But don't worry, we'll have plenty of time for enjoying traditional dining in cafes and bistros. We'll stay in luxury hotels with 23 of your meals and private coach transportation included. Mark your calendar for this incredible tour, then sign up to join us. And if you book now, you could save up to $250 per person. Go to the Garden Time website and click on the tours link for all the details. And we'll see you in Europe.
Come to where the color is. Come to Egan Gardens. We've worked hard growing healthy plants for you so that your gardening is easy. Add sparkle to your garden with our perennials, container plants, and skillfully designed baskets and planters.
It's our opening weekend full of sales, drawings, refreshments, and lots of flowers. Check out our website for a coupon for free pansies.
Egan Gardens, where it's all about the plants. We're located west of I-5 at exit 263 on River Road.
I'm at Portland Nursery on Stark Street with Susie Hancock. And Susie, you know, as vegetable gardeners, we love to start early in the season. And so you have an unusual vegetable that really is a spring harvest. So tell us all about this one.
This is asparagus. Of course. You couldn't recognize it, I'm sure. But asparagus is a vegetable worth waiting for. Asparagus, you want to give a little extra care to it when you plant it. You want to put a little extra energy into what you're doing.
How do we do that then?
Well, you can do asparagus one of two ways. You can grow them in raised beds, or you can grow them in rows, which is the traditional way. Either way, they need to have a trench about 18 inches or so deep. Wow. You really want to put a lot of compost and lime. Lime's really important. Our soils are on the edge of their pH range. They really like more of a neutral pH range. So you want to get that lime in there while you're planting. The other important thing is when you do plant them, because they have these long roots radiating out, you want to put a mound of soil underneath them so that you really get good contact between the roots and the soil, and no more than 2 inches of soil above the crown. This is what the crown looks like. It's all these little, this is where the asparagus will come up from.
A lot of growing tips. That's great.
And as it matures and each year goes by, this crown will get larger and it'll grow this way as well. So it's very important also that you don't plant them too close together. They recommend at least 12 inches apart. The roots touching can get botrytis problems, and so it's really best that they have some space between them.
So we're going to plant it, and then it's going to start growing. So can I harvest this year?
Probably not. These are 3-year crowns. Usually you get between 2 and 3-year crowns at the nurseries, and it's really best to let them establish themselves the first year. The second year, maybe a couple, and it's not until the 3rd year after planting that you do any serious harvesting. And of course it depends on, it depends on the variety as well.
Oh, sure. And then what kind of varieties do you have here?
We carry 3 of them now. We carry Jersey Night, Sweet Purple, and Mary Washington.
Favorites for all? We should all try a couple of each, or mix them? You can
There's
mix
a little bit of difference between them. The Jersey Night, of course, is an all-male variety, and what that does is it gives you asparagus. It doesn't put its energy into producing seeds. And Mary Washington, of course, actually produces both male and female plants.
Oh, interesting.
Sweet Purple is a variety that has about 20% higher sugar content than the other 2, and it's really one that's very good for fresh eating.
Oh, nice.
People use it for salads, that type of thing.
And it's pretty. It does have a little purple cast to it.
Yes.
How pretty.
Yes, something different.
And so if we're not going to be harvesting this year, so the stalks may come up, but then you get those beautiful foliage. So should we leave that until the fall?
You do need to leave that. Of course, that's going to replenish the crown. When I grow mine in raised beds, I put some wire on top of the bed, of course, to keep the cats and other little squirrels, other marauders out of the bed and scratching it up. And then as they grow, I lift it up and tie them off to posts, and that gives them support, because it's important that that feathery growth that comes up doesn't fall over and break, and then of course then it doesn't do any good for the crown.
Oh, that's a great idea. So you're giving it some support and really, and it's making it prettier too.
Yes, yes, all in one.
So Susie, I'm waiting 3 years until I can harvest. So how long can I harvest from that bed then?
That's why you spend so much time preparing it ahead of time, because it's not unheard of for asparagus beds to last 20 years plus.
Wow, wow. So you can hear that wonderful tip. So make sure that you pick that site really well, that you can have a 20-year asparagus bed. They have great information on the Portland Nursery website. So go to that website or go to Garden Time and we'll click you over to that website. Come out to Portland Nursery and pick up your asparagus roots and get your bed started this weekend. Thanks so much, Susie.
Thank you, Judy.
Judy, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get enough snow to make a snowball.
It's a virtual snowball, but we do hope that you had a ball watching today's first episode of this 14th season, and we look forward to several more to come.
If you need any other information about today's show, please go to gardentime.tv.
Thanks so much for spending time with us, and let's do this again next week, right here on Garden Time.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.